I think my biggest takeaway when watching Jacob Eason play last season was that he's just not NFL ready. I don't think he is. He makes a decent amount of bad decisions, and just some other things that we'll get into in just a second. But let's just start things off. Let's just jump into it, and we'll go ahead and start things off with this play where it's going to be zone coverage. And I think that it looks like they actually had a concept on the bottom of the screen designed to beat man. It's actually a little bit difficult to tell just because the camera angle is going to kind of cut off, so we don't really see the end of those routes. But that's not really important. What I really want you to take a look at is what happens right after this ball is snapped. You're going to notice that there is pressure on the edge right there, but it's pressure very far over, meaning that now for Eason, he has a potential window where he can decide to run with the football. Keep in mind, this is a 3rd down and 11, so if you do run with the football, you're going to have to try and get the first down. You have to get all 11 yards. It's not good enough just to gain 5 yards on this play. That really does nothing, especially given the field position. You're at midfield, and the punt's probably going to go inside the 20 regardless, so really, you just want to get the first down here and just make sure you don't turn the ball over. So he is going to pump fake and decide to run the football, but he's going to end up sliding before the first down marker, which is just a crucial error, I think. I get it. You don't want to take a hit and, not be able to get the first down, but at the same time, there are times when you have to take a hit, and I think this could have been one of them. I mean, Washington at this moment was a 14 seed. They would eventually lose this game. So, maybe getting that first down could have been crucial. They did end up punting. It was actually a quick kick, oddly enough, so that was interesting. But yeah, I mean, just a mistake in my opinion from Eason. This next play is another interesting one that I want to talk about, where this is kind of just not really fully grasping the concept of you have to get past the first down marker. This time it's a 4th down and 7, so even more so than that last time. At least that last time, it's like, well, you did gain some yards, even if it wasn't even if maybe you should have been willing to take a hit for it. But on this play, 6 yards is just as good as 0 yards, pretty much. It's 4th down and 7. That's the defense that they're going to be going up against. It's going to be man coverage. It's a cover one hole type play. And so those are the routes that the Washington receivers will be running. A lot that could get open, but obviously, I mean, you have to get this ball down the field. You have to get 7 yards here. So really, basically, the one route that you probably aren't going to want to throw it to is going to be the route that's crossing over the middle. The only exception would be if that player happens to get open enough that you believe he can catch the ball and run and pick up those 7 yards. And after the ball is snapped, it actually looks like he is kind of getting open enough, but not entirely. Remember, this isn't a cover 1 blitz. This isn't cover 0. This is a cover 1 hole, meaning that there's a linebacker right over there. So for Eason, it's probably not the best decision to throw it in that direction. So it looks like, at first glance, you might think this could be open, but because there is a linebacker there, understanding this coverage, this isn't the throw that you should make. However, it seems like Eason maybe just wasn't really aware of that. He throws it there anyways. It ends up falling incomplete anyways, so kind of a moot point, but no way that was going to be a first down, even if it was a completion. And it's just not the correct decision there. Honestly, you're better off just throwing a jump ball toward the end zone because, I mean, it's going to not be a first down either way, so might as well just give yourself a chance. That play is really never going to work out because the linebacker was there. And if Eason maybe just had a better handle on what that coverage was beforehand, he would have known to look at the linebacker and make sure no linebackers dropped back before then making that throw. It looked like he just thought that there wasn't a linebacker there, which is an understandable mistake for a young player, but that's kind of also why I say I don't think he's totally NFL ready. One more example of that before I get into some of his positives is this play where the concept is pretty simple. Play action, have a player run over the middle, get people out of position, throw it over the top. Pretty simple play, but what's going to actually happen here is that Oregon player is going to blitz right now, and so he's going to generate pressure immediately. It works out pretty well. I mean, the halfback picks him up, but there's just a ton of pressure right now. There was the pressure from that, which kind of blow up the play. Now you have another Oregon player who's going to try to, create some contact. So really for Eason at this point, again, really he should just throw the ball away. And he has a halfback right in front of him, so he can literally just spike it into the ground and say that was the eligible receiver, and you're fine. So you can literally just spike it right here. And also keep in mind this situation. There's 2.5 minutes left. It's 2nd down and 6. You're in enemy territory right here, but you're down 4 points. So you have to score a touchdown here. You can't afford a bad play. However, Eason's going to run backwards and then run backwards again. ends up losing just a ton of yards on that play. He actually lost 17 yards on that play, and you can't take a sack there. You especially can't take a 17-yard sack. It just can't happen, and that was a huge, that was kind of the dagger. They did actually gain a decent amount of yards on the third down play, but they weren't able to convert on fourth down, and that was all she wrote. And, you just can't make those kind of mistakes, especially not in the NFL, where things move even quicker. And it seemed like it almost seemed like he's making his decisions during the play as opposed to making his decisions before the play. You want to make your decisions pre-snap. You say, okay, if this happens, I do that. If that happens, I do this, so on and so forth. And it seems like the game is moving too fast for him right now in college. So in the NFL, it definitely won't move too fast for him. But at the same time, I'm judging him now. And it seems like the Colts are not going to try to have him play now. They're going to kind of have him wait. And so because of that, I think there actually is some real logic behind this pick, actually. He's 22 years old. You have Phillip Rivers. Have him play for a year or two. Maybe he plays for 2 years. At that point, you can decide, has Eason sort of gotten to the point where he is NFL ready? And if he hasn't, well, then you can say, okay, we wasted a 4th-round pick, not the end of the world. And if he does, well, then you got a great talent for a 4th-round pick. And he certainly does make some great throws. Like this one, it's going to start off as though it's going to be a screen pass, but that's just a fake. What they're then going to do is have a receiver run deep towards the end zone. But actually, that Hawaii player is going to read this pretty well, and he's going to get back pretty well. And so as you see, he's going to run deep, and there is a window, but not a huge window, because again, the Hawaii defensive back did a good job of reading this play. So it's going to take a pretty perfect throw from Eason, but that's exactly what they're going to get. He makes just a perfect throw, which allows for a touchdown. And even though it was a fake play, it was really the throw that made that play work. That's kind of the plus side of Eason. It's like, listen, does he make the best reads? No. Is he the most intelligent quarterback out there? I don't think so. I don't think he's totally NFL ready. But at the same time, when he makes these throws, he can make these throws look really well. And the potential is certainly there. I mean, this one's another one where it's going to actually be a cover 2 zone. That's the coverage. And for the route that Eason wants to hit, it's just a route over the middle, nothing too fancy whatsoever. There is going to be a window in the middle of the field, and it'll largely depend on how well BYU plays it to determine how big of a window it's going to be. And they play it pretty well, actually. But look at this throw, and look at how he completely threads the needle, gets it over the linebackers, but doesn't throw it too far to where the safeties can make a play on it. Just a beautiful throw. And, his highlights are as good as any quarterbacks, coming out of the draft. It's just that his highlights, there's not as many of them, I guess. His highlight clip is just as exciting. It's just a lot shorter, I guess, than some of these other guys. And so I do think that I actually like this pick. I like this pick. I wouldn't like it if they used a 2nd-round pick on him or something, but I think that he has some potential, and the reality is taking a flyer on a guy who could end up being a great quarterback someday, but probably will just end up not. I think it's worth it. I think that's worth a 4th-round pick. At least you have someone who is young and maybe can sort of help in the quarterback room, just being a backup. But at the same time, I do think that there is potential here, and I think this is a good decision for Indianapolis. Again, I'm not going crazy over him. I think sometimes everyone wants to try and find the diamond in the rough, so to speak. Sometimes there are those guys, sometimes there aren't, but I'm not going to go too crazy over him. I think that there's a reason why he's a 4th-round pick, but I also think that there's a reason to be excited about him if you're a Colts fan. There is a very real chance he ends up being a very good quarterback. I mean, listen, in terms of can't-miss prospects, they almost never happen. Like, it's very rare an Andrew Luck comes along who just everyone knows is going to end up being a great quarterback. I mean, that's very rare. Usually doesn't happen, and usually you don't have an opportunity to get a guy like that. I mean, sometimes when you do have an opportunity to get a huge prospect, it ends up being Jameis Winston. So, sometimes you have to find other ways to try to fill out the quarterback position, and this can be a pretty good way. Take a flyer on a guy who isn't NFL ready but has potential, and just hope that you can sort of groom him into a star NFL quarterback. And if it doesn't work out, well then, I mean, your 4th-round pick you're probably going to use on like a backup defensive end anyways, so you might as well go out and get somebody who can potentially be a superstar in the future and even can have some help now. Maybe if he has to come in and play a game, maybe he can play well. We'll have to see. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to say I like this pick. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.